But shit happened. We are so back. Oh, baby. We are so back. Alright. I'm tired as hell, but we gotta get this feedback in. So, no way I did vocals well, and I promise it's not Little Alter Boy because of my bad singing. It's all good. It's just a style I wanted to go for. I believe you. Inspired by Wisley. Pretty thmekalift. Alright, bet. Let's go. I already like the texture to start. Can be improved though. Whoa, where's the I'm missing it now. Okay, well, here's what I'm gonna say about this. I like the breaks. I think the drops are a little, I don't know, the tuning of it I think fucks with me a bit. I like the sound. I think once you had this like extra vocal chop in here, the vocal chop is nicely tuned and the rest of the drop is kind of not. It all feels like it's sort of like 30-40 cents wonky at times, which is fine. Like I think it's a cool sound. It just you end up really feeling the dissonance here, which I don't know. Oh shoot. Mr. Big ASP is back. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it just, it feels funky. And I don't know. I don't personally enjoy that funkiness in the way it's executed here. I think you could probably cut the vocal chop or maybe change it. But honestly, I feel like this particular chop is a bit. Maybe it just fits the style, and I don't like the style. That might also be true. If I want to give you a recommendation, I would try and find a different vowel. Because this it's a very weirdly like strained vowel. This is a which is a bit more like rounded, and I think it fits in a little bit easier. Yeah, maybe I'm just like chatting complete shit, but that's, I think, something to think about maybe. As far as this particularly struck me where I said the texture is good, and I think more so the sound is good, but to me it's lacking a bit of texture. And what I would say is like it mostly just needs like a certain extra crispiness to it. And obviously you can add just like extra noise on top of it, but I think what would be nicer is if you actually distorted it with like a vinyl crackle. And I'm saying that knowing that there's a way to do it, and it's not occurring to me right now exactly how. Or what you can also do is volume automate it to the signal from a crackle, which especially like, with it, like a really high fidelity gives you like a really funky sound. You could also use a crackle to like as the signal for an LFO that then modulates another parameter, like maybe the panning as well. There's definitely some weird stuff you can do with this to give it a little bit more texture. So yeah, because I feel like it's just missing it, you know? It's like missing that one extra step to make it like really an interesting sound. Whereas yeah, everyone on your server? Oh, true. Let me go do that. I forgot. Guys, I'm like washed. Cheers for the reminder, man. Yeah. That's my feelings, I think, on this. It's a really, like, it's well produced. It's really, really well produced. I think it just maybe I'm a little out of sync with this style. Fractured. Kedib. Another plant photo. Second half is rush. I just want to get some work done. That's not a bad way to be, dude. We'll probably add some more lyrics so the vocals progress more, but yeah, any feedback would be superb. Let's go. It has this like grain delay vibe to it. Oh. Nice. I like this break though. Okay, the thoughts are coming. One moment. First of all, I fucking like this. I really like where the song has gone. For me, I would say like it's just a straight. We'll start off with like a mixing point. Is this A lead is like the whole concept of the song is fantastic. This main lead is a little, yeah, it's a little bit soft in the top end. I think it could be a bit grittier and have a bit more high end, mostly because the other elements do. In the end, you can either mix towards the main lead and have the whole song sound more like it, but I think just adding a bit of extra, like grit, and specifically that like, not even 10K, but more like that 12K. And if you have noise in the lead, if there's a way to like make it a bit grittier, specifically like if it's a white noise lead, if you can somehow just add an extra layer that's a bit more inherently gritty. I know Mohawk uses a particularly gritty, nice like noise on some of his things. There's a couple of like harsher sounding noise samples as well, just baked into like Serum that you could use. Yeah, just like if you can, it's not much as well. You're only trying to, in my head, if I were working on this, I'm only trying to add a little bit, but it's that little bit that gives it more of this like presence, and just makes it so that when this comes in, it doesn't feel like such a big contrast between the two. That's like not contrast in like, oh, we got an A and a B, but more like, okay, this lead feels somehow a little undercooked compared to the other lead. You were saying that you rushed the second half, but I actually like this. Like, maybe you mean the second half of the drop, but like, I really like this break though. Like this is cool. It just feels like there's like a whole idea here. It progresses through at like a good pace. You kind of got a bunch of elements going and it goes through it, which is nice. I think here, the sort of the, what do we want to say here? Like the outset, or like when you exit here out of this transition, it feels a little like you have a little bit too much suck into it and not enough like release. Not enough of a punch at the end of this. So I think specifically at the exit of this transition, it's got to have a little bit more impact. And this is where I think like anything that does like a nice crescendo, like a you need a little bit of that type of stuff, even if it's not literally like a downlifter or something super cliche EDM like that. You just want to see like I don't know, like something juicy, something interesting and melodic that has that same overall envelope. So you get that like coming in like, and you get that cool exit out, which then energy wise then carries you through this whole into the build. Right, it covers those like 4 or 5 seconds until you start bringing in drums and whatever, and keeps the energy up so that it stays high. I mean, this is just great. This is just freaking great. Yeah, I think that's it. That's just kind of all I got. Yeah, I mean, you could also add like a couple more like ear candy elements as well to the break. I wrote this down. But on the foundations, like the break is good. I don't think you need to do much to it. Ear candy, it's like you can go as crazy as you feel you need to enjoy the song. I personally just need a lot. I haven't read chat in a second. Recently working on a spectral processing plugin and something went wrong, so I have to fix it before exporting my track. Since my track used it, rip. Sorry, we should be here for a good bit. Making a plugin. That sounds made up. There's no way that's real. Spectral processing is cool. Oh, what's up, Sam? It cannot be automated and crashes whenever I try to save the project. That sounds like building a plugin. That sounds Like fun though. Yeah, I think that's all for this one. Devon sent me in my DMs a couple of things. If you guys have like specific questions on your tracks, by the way, just put them in the SoundCloud description. I actually really like it when you guys send me like specific questions, because it means that I can like think while I'm listening about it instead of sort of having to always start from zero. And then I feel like I can help you guys a bit more. So the questions are: is the master clipping bad? Be part of the drop news, where can give me some opinions about it or ideas. Sure. All right, let's take a listen. Already, I can tell from the way the bass is sort of like compressing or compressed that this is already like pushing really hard into the limiter. But let's take a listen. Like if we listen to this on low volume, listen to how compressed that is already. And we're only in the break. I'm kind of a big fan of these lasers though. Yo, what's up, Hans? Let's go. We got a whole party up in here. Oh, that's a cool cutout. Okay. First of all, on the topic of master clipping, this is like... saying is it bad is... I don't want to say it's the right question, because I think you're going for like, does this feel bad? And the answer is going to be always sort of like, depending on who you ask. What I will say is that I don't think you're getting much out of the master clipping this bad on your breaks. I think you're just sort of leaving dynamics there, especially with this style. Like, this is all like... you're kind of just letting this clip for the sake of it, it feels like. Like, I don't hear it really contributing to the sound besides making it louder. So this is where I would say it's kind of bad, because it's going to hurt the overall loudness performance on streaming services down the line. So basically it's going to sound quieter on streaming services because you've compressed it so hard in the breaks, which is going to make you increase by a dramatic amount the average loofs, so it's going to get nerfed. And it's not adding a particularly characteristic sound that I can identify. So I would just, especially in the breaks, in the drop, it's fine, I guess. Here also, it doesn't add like a super exciting sound to me. It just kind of sounds compressed, like really compressed. It's funny because I didn't used to be able to hear compression like 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, but like I think maybe 3 years ago I started to hear what compression sounds like, and it's funny because now I can just hear it. And it's a weird thing to be able to hear, because you're like, how did I not hear this before? But yeah, one of the fun parts about being an audio person. Oh, I see. I'm glad that what I'm saying is making any sense. Floor is really nice. Everything's loose in a good way. If you guys are demonstrating video to your DMs and have some feedback, what the fuck does that mean? A demonstrating video? Oh, you mean of your plugin? Go for it. That sounds fun. I'll do it at the end though. Cool texture in those basses. Yeah, I think the texture of this track overall is quite impressive. That's always been a really impressive part of your skill set. As far as the B part of the drop, I'm not sure if this is gonna make sense. Maybe I'm wrong here, But I think the kick is one of your big problems in this track. It feels like it has a lot of space, but it doesn't quite fill that space. So you just sort of, it feels like there's this little bit of a void of energy that, I don't know, it doesn't quite hit, but I need to listen to it more carefully. Because it might just be that it's like somewhere in the bass or the sub that it's like not hitting, but somewhere around this kick, I feel like after the kick hits, there's a problem in the groove somewhere that's kind of, the whole thing is not hitting that. I want to listen to just the sub actually. Oh wow. It's pumping really badly. That might be what's going on. That's a lot of pumping. Yeah, this kick is just not hitting like in your low end. That's kind of cool though to listen to. Yeah, I think try and experiment with a different kick. It's gonna play a little bit nicer with your sub. Again, might be wrong here, but it just feels like it needs something in that low end. Really needs to be adjusted to make the whole thing hit. Because other than that, like, I have the reaction that this is a little bit like how I listen to IDM music, where I stop thinking about like the groove and the feeling so much as I'm listening for like weird rhythmic ideas. The interesting thing is that your master clipping might also be affecting the way that your kick is coming through. So it might actually be really hurting your low end a lot because your kick might just be clipping and just like losing all of its low end. So definitely start with the master stuff and then move on to like your low end and see what you end up with. You might find that, like, if you stop compressing everything quite so much, you have a lot more to work with in the track, and you might get further with fixing its low end. I heard a lot of feedback to change the kick. If it's a lot of feedback, then it's probably worth looking into. If you believe strongly that the kick is not the problem, that's fine. But if you don't feel or like believe strongly that you want to keep the kick, then I would just try, right? Just try a couple of different things and see what kind of ideas it gives you. See if it gives you a different feeling. You might want to then take the track in a little bit of a different direction once you change like that, the fundamental component being the kick. All right, let me just quickly add the new tracks on the sheet. Bing, bang, boom, bam. Okay. Here we go. Next up. ¿Se puede siquiera llamar canción esta cosa? Do I know what that means? No. Should I be saying that out loud? I don't know. Hello, guy. Typical Sarariman. Fucking post it up. Let's take a listen. It sounds like Walkus is experimenting with some new genres. Or Walkus has been listening to Skrillex. Hey, Defon, I'm glad the feedback is helping. Oh, what the fuck? Ooh. What the hell? What is that? Oh, he definitely needs a boosted sub. Listen to what happens when we boost the sub here. This is awesome. Yeah. Yeah, ESP, I got your track. This is so fun. This is so fun. I love this. Let me read my notes. What the hell? This is so cool, by the way. Like, it has that sort of Skrillexy vibe to it. I think you keep the trolliness and the weirdness of the song, just like, keep it fun. You know, this sounds like it's a track that should just be fun and weird. And my main thing is just like add a little bit more fundamental into the sub. Like, I've done it here on my EQ. This is what we were listening to before. Now if I take out the sub, obviously it's like distorting a little bit weirdly and stuff. There's a more satisfying version of this. But if you're distorting the sub already, what I would recommend is just trying to boost the fundamental, which is around 40 hertz, before the distortion. So try it, boosting it into the distortion. You can try it a lot or a little. You could even do probably variations where you just like boost it 10 dB, 20 dB, whatever, into the distortion and see what kind of sounds you get. And also try boosting it after for a clean sub boost. Because what you may find is that sometimes when you distort sub really hard into a distortion, you will add a ton of harmonics that are directly correlated to that 40 hertz fundamental, but also you'll end up actually like reducing the volume of the fundamental pretty dramatically because sub distortions just do that. So you might want some of the harmonics and then also want to boost the sub afterwards, like the fundamental of the sub, and maybe even the second or third harmonic just to make it really like fat. And like, I don't know, this kind of lost its humor for me. It didn't quite hit yet. But maybe I'm not cool enough. Anyway, I actually really think this is fun. I hope you post this somewhere, even if it's on an alt account. Next up, you're on my mind. Parking. I read that as parking anytime. I completely ignored the snow. Just parking anytime. Let's take a listen. Ooh. Oh, I already fuck with this. Skrillex round 2. Hey, walks in the chat, let's go. Ooh, that is a weird rhythm. Oh my god, what is this? Oh, dude, this little like fuck ass bell pad thing is so good. I need to know what you used for this. Oh, what's up, Aftershock? Welcome, welcome. That's cool. It is cool. What the hell? Oh my lord. Dude, I just can't get over this. Oh, it's so dreamy. Okay. I fuck with this. The way this leads into this drop is just super misleading rhythmically. Because it's like this very stable pattern, and then we go to... I don't know what it is about it. Like, I can't even tell you, like, I couldn't tell you exactly what this is. I'd need to, like, look at it on a grid and start, like, investigating. But yeah, the rhythm is, like, this, my intuition here is, like, you've listened to this track so many times that you know what's coming and it sounds normal to you. For the uninitiated, it's kind of it just throws you off. So I think either you want to change the drop stuff, because like once you get to here, the rhythm feels sort of normal and like understandable and familiar. But if you want to make this work, it's something about the way the snare is landing. Like it's where the snare is not landing in the correct place. The thing is inspired by Gloves by Skyward. Makes sense. The thing is, you don't have to get rid of it. I think you just maybe want to get rid of the build here. That's just so consistent. And do something that's already a little bit wonkier or a little bit less suggestive of like this really choppy 4/4 like grid quantized pattern. This is like dun 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 dun. It's like it's almost like you're setting up a metronome only to like betray it. And I think if you keep this and then you go into this more familiar pattern, and this is quite a satisfying switch in then. So I do like the way this feels once you go from... Because then this is like very satisfying again. See, I think it's mostly just about the setup to that I would focus on. How would I fix that? A question for a better artist, to be honest. I don't tend to get wonky like that. At least not in something that has like a strict BPM, because when I think about it, like a lot of the music I'm composing now, I sort of just do shit and there's no real set BPM, but it's all ambient stuff where you can really get away with that. And you can focus purely on how the notes feel timing wise relative to each other. And I will usually do like some like arpeggios and stuff, but they're kind of on their own time and again only sort of relative to each other. Which is giving me a lot of freedom to do fun stuff. Imanu Wannabe 2.0. So yeah, ASB, I hope that helps. Let's go. Imamnu Wanabidibu. Not sure I like this progression yet. It's very rough? Okay, fair. I'll treat this like rough then. Okay, I think you know that you gotta replace your drums here. Okay, so the way I see it, you're kind of here at an impasse where you need to make choices about what you want to do with your time on this track and where you want to go with it. One, I just sort of feel like in the break, the progression of the bass is a bit awkward, but that's up to you. If you feel like it's not awkward, then it's not awkward. It just felt a bit awkward to me, like the way that the notes were leading. I was like, huh, it just doesn't quite feel right. The drums for sure need more meat. The kick for sure needs to get replaced. I think the snare too, or at least needs to feel beefy. The top loop you could replace. I think the top loop is fine, but it also needs just more character added to it. And this is where I think the impasse is, because it's very much just focused on like this bass. The bass is kind of leading everything, and you have some other elements that come in, like a vocal chop. But the bass is kind of driving forward melodically what's going on here. And if you want to do it like that, I think your drums really need to hit and be groovy. I think if you have really... Is then, especially because I see Imanu Wannabe here, which leads me to believe you want it to be that type of vibe of track. And Imanu just has impeccable, like, drum patterns that you could listen to completely naked and on their own with no melodic backdrop, and you would say you'd listen to it. And in fact, that might be a good reference, is just go stem split a set of Imanu drums and see what you can hear in there and see how your drums are different from that. You say add character. There's a sound selection element to this of picking drums that fit this style and give you that feeling of style. So for example, if you go and stem split Imanu's drums, you'll see that there's like, if you split 3 tracks, you're going to find 3 different vibes overall. You're going to find similarities between them, but you would be able to just, on individual sounds, probably distinguish which track those drums are from. So that's one thing. It's just like the character, the tone, right? It's sort of one of these ephemeral concepts that's a bit hard to explain. But you're thinking about like, what is the sound of this drum? Because it's not just a kick. It's like, okay, a kick is like a boom, and a snare is a tunk. But it's about the characteristics that are identifiable about these, sounds that you're trying to select for. And, when you're talking about character across a whole drum bus or a whole set of drums, you want to think about how each building block is adding to the story of like that sound palette. Basically, what you're trying to do is like put together like a color palette. So if you imagine, like, we'll take this picture here, and like, okay, your hi-hat is like this pink, and then the snare is this like blue or like this teal color, and then this white pinkish color, that's your kick, and then the yellow one is like a bunch of other stuff, and like these are all woven together in a particular pattern to give you this backdrop. And if you changed the way that the pattern is, it gives you a different vibe. Like, it has a different effect. But even more dramatically, like, that character would be like if we change the colors of this. If we change the colors of this, all of a sudden the character is going to be different. The way we perceive this, if we changed everything to like shades of red, the way that you perceive this character, like this character, I mean this physical person here, this knight falling down, is going to have a different, it's going to add a very different vibe to the overall image. And if that makes sense to you, just try and see your drums that way. It's like, sometimes it's going to be this knight falling down, right? The drums are the thing that you're looking at, and the melodic stuff is everything else. To me, the drums and the bass together feel like this main thing on the foreground, this knight that we're looking at, and everything else is like all of these other, you know, background colors. This is pink and teal and yellow and blue and whatever. My point just being, like, every detail you add into your drums is going to sort of add a piece. It's a word in a sentence, or it's, you know, an extra piece of a story. You're trying to tell a story here, and, you know, yeah. I don't know, I'm not trying not to ramble, but I'm really good at rambling. I hear this and I think it would be more cool to add like some harmonics in the bass, like supersonic by Skrillex. Like, it would give texture, make the bass more interesting. I agree. I think for sure the bass needs some love on a sound level. But to me, like, the drums are screaming out even more clearly of like, once you get the drums tight and exciting, the direction of the bass is going to become more clear. Then again, if you go and find a particular direction with the bass first, the direction of the drums is probably also going to become a little bit clearer. My recommendation would be start with drums first, because I think the drums are harder and more intricate, and you have a lot more room to play with there later. Just because it's a more complex pattern. Whereas with the bass, yeah, you can get complicated with it, but the pattern you have right now is super simple. It's a sort of a single sound or a conglomerate of like a couple layers that sound like one thing. It's doing a little bit of sliding and stuff, but other than that, it's just staying on a note, which is what makes it more of like this background element to like let you focus on the drums. If the drums hit, it's going to be good. Sound design is not my trunk suit, so I'm trying to work on it, and sound selection. The more you produce, the better it'll get. I heard it, but I'll listen and try some shit. Perfect. Yeah, I don't know. There's like the sort of like the classic, what I would call like the Kanye method for this, which is what Kanye used to do is they, every week, him and one of his producers would just redo the drums for whatever album he was working on. Like, they would remove all the drums and do them again from scratch. Completely. Just to basically get practice of like, okay, we've done this song already, but let's redo the drums from the ground up. And I think this is something that I've done less of in recent times because I've had less time in sequence to do production stuff. You know, it's been very like, okay, I have like a day here to do some music, or a day here, or like 3 days here. But when I was doing this like every day, I would set aside time to practice. What's up, Mara? And I would practice specific skills. And I think it's actually really important to spend time practicing skills. Because once you practice the skill of like, I'm going to work on studying drums and working on my drums, you end up having so many more options and so much more freedom to work with when you do sit down to try and make something creative. So for sure, like, try and do stuff. It's like, I'm just going to do this to practice drums. Like, that's the point of this. And then if it ends up being a cool track that you want to finish, bonus. Right? The only decent thing I've made since my last release. Sure, buddy. Shutterstock image. Alright, let's go. Do 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 do. I don't know what to say about this. This is like elevator music. Like, if calling your insurance company was cool. I don't know what to say about this, man. I like the hat, like the hats here are cool. It's overall got like a cool solo, but it doesn't necessarily go anywhere. That's what makes it feel like insurance company music, because it just kind of, it meanders. It's giving very like meandering vibes, which not at all a bad thing. We need meandering music. I mean, I wonder, like, where, if you wanted to finish this, you wanted to work on this, what I think you'd need to do is take this loop, make it 2 minutes long, and then figure out what you can change along those 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Just be like, okay, here, I guess I can change the bass, and then here, I can change, like, this maybe. And slowly, bit by bit, as you start figuring out, like, basic ideas of things you can change, it might kickstart you into actually like progressing and like figuring out a progression for the song. Or you might just go, man, this is kind of banging the way it is. I'm going to loop it for 2 minutes and that's it. It's supposed to be a house track and then I randomly decided jazz. Why not? Jazz is fun. I probably do not listen to enough jazz. But what can you do? What can you doing? I sent this last time, but I worked on it a bit more, and I don't know how to write an intro. Okay. Bet. I'm gonna go hyper philosophical on this intro question. This bass is fucking cool, what the hell? I wish I had sub. Whoa, this is a weird track. I need sub. Okay. This is like out of my comfort zone of what I know how to feedback to. It's like super neuro and like niche neuro. I think you could change the snare on this to be more present and exciting. And it might just need like one more either metallic layer or like just like really boomy almost like wooden style of layer. It needs a character that gives it like a contrast to the other sounds going on. Because right now it almost sounds like too digital. It needs something real, like a real world sound shaped and added to the snare to make it feel kind of like I was saying earlier, like it has its own identity, to give it a character. Because right now it's a little bit too stock. Zero, there's no sub. I mean, if I'm looking at it on my thing, it just reads as having a lot less sub. And it's not that it has no sub. But the sub, I think, individually needs to get compressed more. And it needs to play maybe a bit tighter with the kick. That might just be me speculating, though. I might also just be having a weird day with my ears where I'm just not hearing sub. So apologies for that. But on the question of like, I worked on it a bit more, I don't know how to write an intro. Let me break it down for you guys. How do you create an intro? So first of all, I think for some people, they're really good at like creating an intro, or they're really good at creating a break, or they're really good at creating a build-up, or they're really good at creating a drop, or they're good at making a chorus or whatever. Right? There's some part of this that you're more comfortable with. I'm going to try an analogy I've never tried before, which is like, think of your song as a theme park, you know. And in your theme park, you kind of just have like, it's like, you can think of it as like a straight line, like you have like your main big attractions. Like, what's the destination of your track? You know, what's the thing that like people are like here to see? In your case, it's here. And so like the big destination, like the one you put on the poster, it's like, come and see this thing, is the, you know, your the highest energy of your track, or the most emotionally engaging, which in dance music is going to be the thing that has the highest amount of energy. So then the question is, how do we go for a whole minute without delivering on the thing? And basically what you want to be spending that time before your drop doing is setting up the listener to do 3 things, I would say. To know generally what is the vibe of what you're getting into. Where are we going? So how much energy should you be preparing yourself for? You know, you want to build up that anticipation. That's what your builds are for, you know. And even your breaks, like you're giving them a vibe. And then what you also want to do is you sort of show them the character. You want to show them cool things along the way. I guess it's really 2 things, or 3 things. I don't remember. But the way I would think about it is like, you don't just want to have people sit in an empty line waiting to do the cool thing, and everything else is super boring. And then people like, you know, go on the ride, which is your drop, and then they come out and they're like, okay, I guess we're going to do that again. And they have to wait for a million years in the line behind, you know, until eventually they get to do it again. You want to show them other cool things along the way. You want to ideally show them cool things that get them even more excited about the drop that they're going to be listening to. There's such a new perspective for me. I don't know. I'm trying here. Let's see where we end up. So, as far as the intro goes, the way I see the intro is like the intro is your... It really focuses on telling people what the vibe of the song is. And for some people, for some genres, you really don't need that much time. You don't need that much time in your intro to give somebody a taste of like what your song is about. And I would say Neuro is probably one of those. If you're going to listen to a Neuro track, you don't need like 2 minutes of intro to get like into the composition. You need like probably 10-15 seconds to just give a gritty atmosphere, some cool pads, maybe even like, 6 seconds, depending on what your BPM is, like 6 seconds, maybe 7 seconds of just like 4 bars, 8 bars. Just like get the flavor through of like, hey, this is what the song is about. This is what we're listening to, And then on your break, you want to show them some cool stuff. Like you want to bring out melodies or rhythms that are unique to the break. You don't want it to be a complete repeat of what's going on, but it should be like related, If I was going to a pirate-themed theme park and the main attraction is like a pirate ship about Blackbeard, I probably don't want to see stuff about like garden gnomes and Mickey Mouse along the way. That'd be very weird, You want to see things that are like pirate related, but like maybe a little bit, different pirates, less exciting pirates. Maybe pirates that are part of Blackbeard's story, but not, part of like the main thing that you're going to do. Bring out the drop melody, cousin for break. Yeah, exactly. Like whatever your drop melody is, you have like some sort of alternate version or something that's related, or it's like a counter melody that really works with the drop, but you're not really using in the drop. Bring it into the break, At some point, this analogy is going to break down, so I want to leave it there. But like, the point is just like thinking about how you're gonna set things up. What extra like world building can you add to your song that doesn't feel like it's misleading, but doesn't feel like it's too much of the same. You're trying to find this sort of Goldilocks zone. And sending the plugin demo video, perfect. Let me check if we have any more submissions, because I think that was it, honestly. Yeah, it doesn't seem like we got anything else. Discord says it's processing. Oh god, your chats are being scanned. But yeah, I hope that is even remotely... This probably doesn't make any sense at all, but... Yeah, if you're talking about how to make an intro, really you want to just focus on, like, how do I give somebody the taste of the vibe, And what's interesting is sometimes you can give somebody a little bit of a misleading intro, If you think about a movie, sometimes you have movies that have an intro that starts off in like a happy place. It's like a horror movie, but we start off in a happy place so that we can like dunk you in the cold water. So that you go from like really happy to all of a sudden really, really scared. And the point of that is we're taking you from this high point and just plunging you into this like terrifying thing. It's part of a journey. The intro serves the purpose of like making that big contrast and that big fear, or sometimes the intro is just about like getting you to know the characters of the movie, right? Or sometimes it's about getting you to know a little bit about the world, or about one person, or one dynamic, or whatever it needs that you need to tell the story. So the question is, and this is why personally I'm a big fan of like, if your intro is short, it's fine. It doesn't need to be super long. You just want to think about like, what is my intro doing? If I just have 30 seconds of granular pad that sort of just plays, as a producer, like we're happy with that. We're like, oh, this is cool to listen to. But in the context of a song, it's just filler, It's just filler that's there, and it could be you get the vibe within 5 seconds of listening to it. You're like, oh, okay, cool. It doesn't mean you have to stop playing it after 5 seconds, but you do have to progress what's going on. So you add elements, you change elements, you automate elements to make them feel different. So, for example, what you might do is say, okay, I have this break, and I don't know what I'm going to do for my intro. But maybe you can experiment with some automations, and the break that you have is the destination of your intro. Those automations are like, those are your bass lines, and then you do funky automations so that, obviously there's obvious stuff like a filter. It starts off where you have less frequencies, and then you open up the filter and you have more frequencies. But it can be distortions, for example, where you really do, characteristic distortion automations, or like distortions that you automate. So it's like you start off with only 20% distortion, and then in the intro to give it like a softer, different sound. And then once you get into the break, all of a sudden we're at 80% distortion. Interesting break and intro can really make tracks stand out. To me, it's like essential. I don't think you can have a great track. You can have a fine track that's just a cool drop. But I think you're doing yourself as a creative a disservice by only honing the skills of making a cool drop. Because you're always going to kind of be reliant to make great tracks on other people to understand what your drop is about and build up to it. But for some people, that's okay. It's not a bad thing. But I think as a creative person, I want for all other creative people to like be able to really put out their whole vision and filter the whole song through their identity and the thing that they bring to the table as an artist. And yeah, I think if you find it hard to do an interesting enough break, study the breaks that you do like. If something feels too hard, that's probably because it is too hard right now. And so first look at what you already like. If you find things that you already like and you try to understand them, it's not going to change your production overnight. But you can go from understanding it to imitating it. And copying something and imitating it is a lot easier than trying to invent it for the first time. And then once you imitate it, then you're going to get curious. Like, okay, this is fine, but I'm kind of bored of just imitating it. Then you're going to start experimenting. You're going to be like, okay, but like, what if I did this? And then you veer off the path, and probably you're not going to like it. And you're like, whatever. Or you're going to like it, and then you can wake up the next morning and think it sucks. And then you experiment from that same starting point again. Or maybe you take this thing that sucked, and you're like, oh, maybe I can do this. And you go in a little bit of a different direction. And then days, months, weeks, years might pass, and all of a sudden you're going to realize that like you're really happy with the breaks you do because you've just been experimenting, and you keep thinking about other tracks and other breaks. You go like, okay, this is fine, I like this, but like let me copy it and then let me play with it. But in the beginning, if you feel like you're at a point where you've hit a plateau and you're like, I can't make anything that's really interesting and engaging to me, find the stuff that you do find engaging and then copy it first and then experiment with it. It's like copy and then play with it. Once it's like in your DAW, then you can do everything. You can mess it up, get it wrong, and you'll keep learning. But yeah, now I'm really rambling again. Giga Rambler. That didn't go through, so I tried YouTube. That works. Alright, let's pop this in here. Let's see this demo. Spectral Corruptor. Spectral JPEG. Oh, that looks interesting. Whoa. So earlier I was talking about like adding cool texture. This to me is a perfect example of like adding texture. I think Dirty Octopus has always been an expert in texture. Just like, look how many different ways here to add just funkiness to a signal. I don't want to say, like, you know, texture's all about processing and, like, you just have to process everything away, because you are trading off some of your sound, in a sense, to add new stuff or, like, create texture. But if you do it, like, selectively and in a way that you like and adds something meaningful to the story of your song, man, it's such a win. I would say all of these sound cool and extreme, but when you apply them to individual sounds, I feel like this could be such a powerful tool. Let's see, what else we got? Bin shuffle. Yeah. I've experimented with quite a few of these types of sounds. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's such a freaking cool sound. What's chat saying? It's easy to do me. 328 onwards is band splitting demonstration. It's a bit complicated. Oh, okay, let's see that. I'm assuming then this is changing the points where it's creating these bands. So instead of having just one band, then it's applying this across multiple different bands along the frequency spectrum. There's so many fun ways to mess with this stuff. Whoa. What the flip is this? This is above my pay grade, that's what it is. We're looking at the plugin that Dirty Octopus is working on. Yeah, I think putting this on a whole track is a good demonstration, but ultimately the way I would imagine using this plugin is like, personally, in my workflow, this would just be like a flavor factory. You know, this is about like taking a sound that's kind of fine and just giving it a little bit of weirdness, you know, a little bit of extra texture, something that is very unpredictable. Especially if you're doing it on like ear candies and stuff, just a little bit of some of this, sometimes a little bit of like crushed stuff that isn't just your standard bit crushing algorithm. It's just, it means so much to making a sound stand out. I really like the way this crushes. Like, this bit crushed sound is, I find, difficult to achieve. For me personally, so I like the idea that this is like a new method to acquiring this sound. So, rock on. I hope you figure out how to make it not crash, so I can play with it. Doctor, you gonna send some tunes? Tune check? There's been problems on saving project files. So it splits the original signal into frequency 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, see. Assigning them to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I'll definitely send you one when it's ready. I look forward to it. Yeah, that's an interesting way of like organizing the frequency spectrum into like these various channels. This seems like one of those plugins that I would prefer to not know how to use. To be honest. Like, I wouldn't want to know exactly how it's supposed to work. Because the joy is kind of in, like, figuring it out and playing with it. And doing things unintentionally. You know, I do find it awesome sometimes when people just, like, get how their plugins work and they're able to use them really precisely. There are certain things where I am like that. There's some plugins I have where I know everywhere I need to go. UI Team Wooden? Hell yeah. That's kind of the point. That makes sense. But yeah, sometimes you want to know exactly. Like, if I'm using a serum, you want to know, like, how you get to, like, make a certain sound. Like, what do I need to do? Do I need to add this kind of modulation, this whatever? But with the spectral stuff, I've always just kind of enjoyed not knowing, messing about with it, and then getting something weird out of it. Definitely right now, it's not anywhere remotely like the focus of my sound, though, so I don't imagine myself using it a lot in production, because, yeah, it's just not the sound that engages me. Maybe in the future, though. And it might be one of those things where you can do a lot of very interesting storytelling type of sound design, which, in all of the ambient stuff I'm working on, might be quite nice. Precise is nice and random is fun. What a bar. What a bar. Alright, I don't see a track from Dockstry, so I'm going to assume there is no track. Which means that our stream comes to an end here, ladies and gentlemen. That was fun. I really enjoyed that. You guys, again, brought banging tracks this week. Like, absolute bangers. So, thank you very much for working so hard and trusting me to give feedback on your songs. And next weekend might be difficult. Have a nice night. Yeah, you have a nice night as well. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stream next week, to be honest, because I'm super busy. I'm kind of busy Saturday and Sunday and the days leading up to it, but might be able to get a stream out on the Monday or the Tuesday. So we'll see. I might be a little too exhausted, though. But I'll let you know throughout the week. Alrighty. Cheers, guys. Thank you.